Hidden in a forest, evidence of Ukraine's stuttering offensive in the south. A makeshift repair yard trying to salvage not old Soviet equipment, but recently donated Western armor. These US-made Bradleys may have saved lives, but they've also been damaged by what's slowing them down. Russian minefields. Serhiy says some can't be repaired, so they'll scavenge the parts. This was the same brigade in the first days of the offensive, especially trained and equipped by the West to break through defenses. Instead, they became an easy target and fodder for Russian propaganda. Now they're using old Soviet tanks to try to clear a path. For mines, for Russian mines. But overnight, Maxim's T-64 hit another mine, leaving it damaged and one of his men injured.
There are too many mines. The minefields can be 6 rows deep. It's very difficult, and our rollers can't withstand more than 4 explosions. You need to save the equipment as well as do your job.
It's Ukraine's infantry who are having to make the hard yards on foot. All the more difficult to hold ground without armor. These had to pull back when a comrade was injured. It's been painful to watch for this drone pilot. He's seen brutal new tactics. This is what he recently filmed when Ukrainian troops, advancing from the bottom right, tried to capture a Russian trench. It was empty, but rigged with explosives.
On Russian trenches, they meet the remote control mines. And when the soldiers get the trenches, the mines is blowing and kill our friends. It's a new weapon.
Ukraine's now using a new weapon too, one that's banned by more than 100 countries. This US-supplied howitzer is firing on Russian infantry positions, and for the first time, we're seeing them using cluster munitions. Cluster shells scatter scores of small bombs over a wide area, fired to try to dislodge Russian infantry and artillery. The Ukrainian general overseeing the southern offensive defended their use. He says he's facing a more difficult enemy.
I don't underestimate the enemy. They've created all the conditions that prevent us from moving forward quickly. But their weakness is they don't care about their people.
How can I decide if your offensive is a success or a failure?
I wouldn't be talking to you now if the counteroffensive wasn't successful.
He said he'd still to commit his main strike force. There are reports that may now be happening. The bodies of dead Russian soldiers and destroyed tanks show Ukraine is advancing. But on this battlefield, there's also wrecked Western armor, including these British-supplied vehicles. Ukraine says it needs patience and time. Jonathan Beale, BBC News, Southern Ukraine.